Right now, somewhere in the world, someone is holding an Android phone and secretly wishing it was an iPhone. And somewhere else, someone is paying $1,200 for a new iPhone, even though their current one works perfectly fine. Here is the number that should bother you: 92%. That is percentage of iPhone users who buy another iPhone when it is time to upgrade. Not because they compared every phone on the market, not because Apple is objectively the best, but because of something much more powerful and much more invisible happening inside their brain. Today, we are going to decode exactly what that is. Think about this for a second. Samsung make excellent phones. Google make excellent phones. On paper, there are Android devices that beats the iPhone on camera, customization, sometimes even price. And yet, iPhone owners are 21 times less likely to switch than Samsung owners. Apple has built something that goes far beyond a good product. They have built a system that makes living feels genuinely painful. Not painful like a bad experience, painful like a loss. And once you understand the three psychological forces behind that, you will never look at your iPhone or any brand you are loyal to the same way again. The first force is called loss aversion. In the 1970s, psychologists Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky discovered something surprising. Losing something hurts twice as much as gaining the something feels good.
Losing 500 rupees feels worse than finding 500 rupees feels great. Our brains are wired to protect what we have far more aggressively than they chase what we could gain.
Apple understood this before most tech companies understood what a smartphone was. Think about what happens the moment you buy your first iPhone. You download apps, you set up iCloud, you start using iMessage. If you have a Mac, your message appears there too. You buy an Apple Watch, now it tracks your fitness data. An iPad, now your notes, reminders, and files are all connected. And here is the trap: every single one of those things is only yours as long as you stay in the Apple ecosystem.
Switch to Android, and your iMessage history disappears.
Your iCloud photo need manual migration. Your Apple Watch become useless. It does not work with Android. Your AirPods lose half their features. You are not just buying a new phone, you are losing a digital life you spent years building. That is loss aversion. At industrial scale, Apple does not make you love them. They make living feel like a punishment. The second force is something psychologists call identity anchoring. And this one is more powerful and more uncomfortable than the first. Here is the simple question: when someone asks you what phone you use, do you say, I use an iPhone, or do you say, I am an iPhone person? That one word, person, changes everything. Research on consumer behavior show that over 55% of Apple users describe their relationship with Apple as part of their identity. Not just a preference, not just a tool, a part of who they are. Apple spent decades engineering this. Every product launch is a cultural event, not a product announcement. Every Apple store is designed to feel like a premium space, not a retail shop.
The minimalist packaging, the white earbuds that signal to the world, I am someone who owns Apple.
And here is what makes them so powerful. When your identity attached to a brand, leaving that brand feels like
Abandoning a version of yourself.
switching to Android is not just a practical decision anymore. It becomes a statement. I am no longer that kind of person. Most people are not willing to make that statement. So they stay and they upgrade and they tell their friends. Over 96% of millennial iPhone owners say they plan to repurchase Apple. That is not customer satisfaction, that is identity protection. The third force is the one most people actually feel, even if they do not know its name. It is called the sunk cost fallacy. Here is how it works. You have already spent $1,200 on an iPhone, $50 a year on iCloud storage, $200 on AirPods, maybe 500 on Apple Watch, and years of learning how iOS works. That is real money, real time, real habits. Now someone say just switch to Android. It is cheaper. Your brain does not hear. Here is a better option going forward. Your brain hears abandon everything you already invested. And human psychology refuses to do that. We convince ourselves that because we have already put so much in, the thing we invested in must be worth staying with. Every additional Apple product you buy make it harder to leave. User who own 3 or more Apple devices face 50 to 20% higher psychological switching cost per device they own. Apple knows this. The Apple Watch was not designed just to track your steps. It was designed to be one more thread tying you to the ecosystem. AirPods, iPad, Mac, Apple TV, every product is a lock. Every lock make the exit further away. But here is where it get interesting. All three of these forces, loss aversion, identity anchoring, sunk cost fallacy, they work best on the people who are already deeply invested. And a new crack is appearing in Apple's armor. Recent data from 2026 show that among 18 to 29 years old in the United States are Apple's exclusive loyalty, meaning users who would never consider any other brand, is only 12.3%, the lowest of any age group. Apple is winning their wallets. 75% of American Gen Z users carry an iPhone, but it is not winning their hearts the same way it won their parents. Younger users are more comfortable switching between ecosystems. They grow up with multiple platforms. They do not feel the same identity attachment to one brand. And this is the fundamental question. Apple's next decade depends on can they build the same psychological grip on a generation that was born already connected and does not feel the same fear of switching. The three forces still work, but they need to be rebuilt for a generation that was never locked in to begin with. So the next time someone tells you they would never leave Apple, now you know what is really happening. It is not just about the product being good. It is loss aversion telling them they will lose something they built. It is identity anchoring telling them this is part of who they are. And it is sunk cost fallacy telling them all that investment cannot be wasted. Apple did not just build a phone, they built a psychological system that makes staying feels like the only rational choice. And the scary part, every successful brand in the world is trying to do exactly the same thing. Next week, we are going to look at how Costco uses a completely different psychological trick to make you spend more every single time you walk through their doors, even when you only went in for milk. If that sounds interesting, subscribe please because that video drops next week.